Hiram rules Riverdale. Free Archie. Run, Archie, run.
What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm JLAG.
And I'm NB.
And this episode is recapping and reviewing Riverdale Season 3, Episode 9. And it's called Chapter 44, No Exit.
And don't forget, guys, stick around for the ending because we are going to go through our recap roundups, our MVPs, our best moments, our best lines. So be sure to stick around for that.
And also we have a bunch of announcements, including announcing the winner of a contest giveaway, so make sure you guys stick around for that as well. As always, to all of our continuing listeners and to our brand new ones, thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into the episode, y'all.
So yeah, I mean, like, welcome back.
Welcome back,
because
girl.
It's been a long time.
It's been like a month or something.
I missed you. I miss our Riverdale family. I missed
Same.
Archie Andrews.
Yeah.
And then having watched the episode, I really miss Archie Andrews now.
Yeah, I really miss him. Poor guy.
We'll talk about that after, I guess.
Like, what the F
right
just happened?
I know. We want to just talk about the ending, but now we
Yeah.
got to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
So,
but what did you
Archie's
think of the
in
episode?
Canada.
Yeah, he's in Canada. He's like in the middle of the woods. But what did you think of like the vibe of the episode coming back from the jump?
I liked it. I did like it. I enjoyed it. In the beginning, I was kind of like, where's Archie's like story going with this?
Right.
But in the end, with that whole scene in his bedroom with Fred, like I almost wanted to cry again. I was like, oh my God, like this is so real.
It definitely made up for any. Anyway, we'll talk about it. But
it did.
It did a really good job, I think, this episode covering basically every single character and kind of continuing the story because so much has happened since last episode.
I mean, it was really juicy, guys. Like CHONI was like on fire.
Like, right off the top. They were like Shoni, like kissing, making out, like having sex, like stealing stuff. Like they were just all
I
over
love
the place.
you. Like, okay.
Yeah. So first we see, so it starts off with Archie and he found a cabin randomly in the middle of the woods in Canada.
It's like a gorgeous, like hipster, like cabin.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't even rent an Airbnb that's that cute. Like, I don't know how he got that.
Where did you find this?
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, like, they don't really explain that, but my assumption is that like maybe the sheriff, like Tom Keller, had like some connects and maybe that's how he got it. Like I don't really know like how it all, because later on he's like talking to a police lady, right? So I'm not sure.
True. Yeah.
So then it randomly cuts back to like Shoni because it's like over Jughead's conversation where he's like narrating and he's like back in Riverdale, people are like going crazy and like people are stealing stuff, and so it shows like Cheryl and Tony wearing cat burglar like outfits and they're stealing from rich people.
Yeah.
Like that's basically their jam right now.
So like I don't know, like I was kind of confused as to like why this was their
thing?
couples outing. Like I didn't understand like why that was their thing.
Yeah,
I just like I was down to see them like in the bed together and how they're like, I love you. I'm like, cool. Like I wanted that, but I just didn't get like the connection to like being robbers together.
Yeah, I didn't understand it. I didn't really care for it either, to be completely honest. Like,
because
it seems like they just wanted to give them something to do, but I was like, is this really what you guys want them to do? Okay.
But like, I even understand if like they're both kind of like, you know, like poor or whatever, but like Cheryl's like rich and
she's like rich.
She just got the estate with her nana, so like I didn't understand like why is that a thing for her? But anyways, whatever.
I mean, I guess it's like a Winona thing. It's like you can be a kleptomaniac even though you're rich.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. Anyway, so it kind of, the Shoni whole situation ends off with them at school, and it's a random scene that they never come back to. So I'm glad that we're talking about it now. But the RROTC, aka
oh my God,
freaking Kevin and Moose, stop them in the hallways and like no touching anymore. Like, first of all,
I was so disgusted in this moment.
Yeah,
because out of anyone, it's Moose and Kevin.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, are you guys for real right now?
I mean, they're doing
that.
that.
Not remember season 1, season 2, season 3?
Like they're obviously doing that on purpose to piss us off and to show that there's a dramatic change in Kevin, because like Kevin suddenly has like a deeper voice and he's like more masculine somehow. Right. He's like, "Hey guys, stop this now," and I'm like, "All right, relax." But it was kind of in a sense it was kind of interesting, but at the same time, like, I don't really care for this storyline at all. Like, I don't care for him to like reconvert and then reconvert back and then come back and then like be good again. Like, it's not really my steez. So I don't know what they're gonna do with, I mean, I guess I know what they're gonna do with that storyline. Like, he's eventually gonna have to like come back around and be like, I'm definitely still gay, like whatever. But yeah, I just wasn't, didn't appeal to me. I don't know what you guys thought about it. What did you think about it?
No, I definitely, and I can see them kind of getting to this place with him where like he's gonna hit rock bottom,
right?
And then maybe he's gonna have this turnaround curve.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I just really don't care about them anymore at this point. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Same. And like, I don't know. It's just a disappointing character arc for like Kevin. Like, once again, he's just like not on the right side of history anymore, and like I don't know why he's doing what he's doing. He's doing it all for love. Like, it doesn't make any sense. He's pretending not to be gay for someone that he cares about. Like, I'm not really sure what, I mean, I guess people have done stupider things in their lives for love, but I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't make any sense. And for them to just become like these like KKK leaders just to be in a relationship, it just, I don't know. It's weird.
And you're right. Like, that was really the only shot that we get to see of high school. Yeah. So it was like, I don't know. Anyways,
and it's all happening. Like, first, I kind of quickly want to talk about this because it doesn't really get clarified. But this military state that Riverdale's in currently, like the fact that there's all these weird things that are happening, including this whole like no hand holding situation. Like, all these rules are being set in place. Are they being set in place by Hiram? Are they being set in place by like the police? Like, who's?
Well, I think it's like the greater like town council, maybe like Hiram and like Weatherby, because there's no sheriff right now, so like there's not really a body of like police that's like really doing anything, but maybe it's just like the older people of the town are like somehow controlling them. I don't know.
I was just so confused by why it got so extreme. Like, yes, I know that the whole city and town is quarantined now, but why did that have to change the entire jurisdiction of the town? Like, how did that change everybody's like laws suddenly, you know? And like, if that's the case, like, what does Hiram have against like gay people? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, why can't you hold hands? That's bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
So anyway, so we're moving on to Betty, and she's chilling, and she wakes up to screaming. She hears screaming in her house. And first I'm like, what the hell? Is that freaking Alice?
Yeah.
But then it turns out that it's like the kids who were like from Quiet Mercy, and they're all sleeping in the fucking living room of the Cooper residence. And
so she took them in? Like, what did she, like, I guess they came out to her house after that. The last episode, right?
Because they're like, what are they gonna do? Like, it's your responsibility now. And I guess like Ethel basically dipped from life. Like, she didn't even like take in anybody.
She wasn't even here.
She was like, bye. So like, and that's the thing. Like, sometimes I feel like these like jumps, like when they do a hiatus, they act as if like we're not gonna remember what happened last episode, but like really logically that doesn't make any sense. Like, why Ethel is completely out of the picture. She was kind of partially responsible for all of this, so maybe she could like lend a hand. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Anyway, so the kids are sleeping on the floor, and they want to play the game to help them go to sleep. And now they're basically like worshiping Betty. They're like, I love you so much. Like, you're our
she's
mom
their
now.
Queen. Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, let's play the game so we can sleep better. And so as she's like, okay, fine, let's do this, she like picks up the game, and then she finds Fizzle Rocks. And then one of the kids are like, oh, it's Tyler, is like this next kid, and he's been taking them. And then it turns out that like a serpent gave him the Fizzle Rocks.
Right. So a serpent's been dealing drugs.
And so then it cuts back to upstairs, and Jughead is in her room, and they're talking.
He's like fully in her bed. So like I guess Alice doesn't give she doesn't care.
She doesn't give an ish. So first, like, I wasn't even as concerned about that. I was more like, they were literally locked out of town last episode. Were they not gonna like circle back about that like storyline at all?
And you know what? A lot of people on Twitter were tweeting about that and how they never really like mentioned like how they got back, or like they didn't show anything to do with that.
Yeah, it just
So,
and
like,
like even FP, he's like back like in town. So it's just it
like,
was very
are we not going to talk about how last week's episode ended?
Exactly.
It's so weird.
It's very like disjointed, and there's a few things that happen this episode that it's almost like they like cut out like shots for time. I don't know what the situation was,
Yeah,
but anyway,
maybe.
so that was probably one of them where like you don't really see like the struggle between them.
Yeah, they're just back in town.
Exactly. So then it cuts to, so then they're talking, Bughead is talking, and they're like, oh yeah, like the town is kind of all fucked up. Like I got to figure out what's going on with the serpents and like to make sure that they're not like dealing drugs and like doing whatever. But he still thinks that Hiram Lodge is behind this. So the one thing that I had to ask you, and like I'm still very confused, and maybe some of our listeners can tune in and let us know what they think, but are we supposed to assume that Hiram Lodge is definitely the Gargoyle King?
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh wait, so did we miss an episode?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like, so we're just gonna call him the Gargoyle King now? Like, so he's the guy?
Yeah, like, and he has a gargoyle gang, and they like everybody knows that he has a gargoyle gang, and they all wear the masks. So I'm just like, I'm very confused because they never really explained it since last episode, where we literally see him cheersing like a gargoyle king figure. So
I'm sure they're gonna explain it. But I don't understand. Yeah, everyone is like fully confident that he's behind all of this.
yeah. So anyway. I hope you guys can let us know if you guys have any inklings, or maybe we missed like a scene or something. I have no idea, but anyway, so let's move on. Then it cuts to Archie, and he is in his cabin, and he's talking to someone on the radio, and he's like, hey girl, how's it going, blah blah blah. And
it sounds like he's like a park ranger, like he's like kind of like taking care of the forest and like checking for like bears like or whatever they do.
Yeah. And she does say at the very end of it, she's like, oh, just letting you know there's been like a lot of grizzly bear sightings in your area, so just like keep it cool, stay low, don't go outside. Like she basically warns him.
Yeah, she's like, there's a huge ass bear outside, like just don't leave your cabin.
And he's like, sure, I'm going to leave my cabin in the next scene. So
with
that's
my
exactly
dog. Did you think when she said it that it was going to happen?
Yes.
I guess it's pretty predictable.
I'm like, come on, Riverdale. You didn't pull the wool over my eyes on that one. So then it cuts to Reggie, and he's driving his truck, and he gets a flat tire.
Okay. Pause. I thought he was dead. I thought he was gonna die in this moment. I'm like, he's dead for sure.
So Envy's like been like perpetually fearing the death of Reggie ever since we figured that someone might not
we'll
survive.
be like eating lunch. And I look at JLAG and I'm like, I think Reggie's gonna die. He's like, but why now? I'm like, because of this. And then next week it's like, I think Reggie's gonna die because of this.
So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Since you've incepted my mind, this part of the episode too, I was like, oh, he's dead.
And like, plus he's like on set filming a freaking movie now. So like, Charles Melton. So it's like, is he even part of Riverdale? Anyways, sorry, we're sidetracking.
Next,
but yeah, he gets attacked, driving the car full of. Okay, why are they driving a car full of beer though? I don't understand.
So that's also a part that I feel it was like a deleted
are they
scene.
Trafficking alcohol across the border? Like, what are they doing?
That's literally what they're doing. So based on what happens later on at the Bon Nuit when they're talking. So anyway, he gets his ass kicked by like a Gargoyle King.
So as he's getting beaten up, I'm like, oh my God, he's dead. Before I could even finish like my thought, it cuts back to like the club, and Veronica's like, I'm so sorry, Reggie. I'm like, oh, okay, he's not dead.
So he's not dead.
He's okay. He's alive.
But the Gargoyle says Veronica Lodge hasn't paid what she owes. So I was like, okay, like I literally did miss an entire episode because I don't remember any of this. So anyway, they're talking, and then through context, we kind of understand that Hiram is like forcing her to pay him money because the Bon Nuit is still running somehow. So she blames him because the gargoyles are attacking them.
Right.
And like she's assuming that they're working for him. So like they're taking the business away, and he's offering protection, like protection, quote unquote, like if I protect you, then like you won't get attacked anymore, basically. So like once again I asked the question, like, what did this quarantine entail? Like the fact that like the Bonui literally had to get shut down, like these people are at, like he's paying they're paying some random taxes,
and like what's happening, because they weren't selling alcohol in the first place, right? Like they were just selling mocktails. No,
I think later on they were actually
selling liquor.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So then
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. She's not even of age to drink alcohol. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't even
like
talk
it hits
about
me
it.
like in the middle of these conversations and like watching it just hits me. I'm like, but they were in high school like last season, and now she's like talking about like percentages and like protection.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't understand where this show turned.
Just taking the turn a few times around.
Yeah.
But just taking the fact that like they're literally there's an episode about the SATs. Like they've made a mention
I hope so.
multiple times. And I'm like, don't even bother, guys. Just don't tell us that they're going to school anymore, because that's more believable that they're all running their own businesses. Because anyway, so then he says something kind of cute, because she's like, I got this plan. I'm gonna do my dad. I'm gonna like. She calls him cook the books, like another term that I have no idea.
Yeah, cooking the books.
So she's like, I'm going to cook the books and I'm going to try to like trick him or whatever. And then he says, has anyone ever told you you're a badass? And I'm like,
so cute.
Boy. So I kind of got excited
more
for you than for me.
I was like so excited. Like, you don't even understand.
So then it cuts to Archie back at the cabin, but he's outside now.
Yeah.
And he's like just like lurking. He sees like some random travelers just traveling on the side of the street, and he sees like the dog is with him. And then next thing you know, like he turns around and it's like quiet. It's like dead ass quiet. And then he like turns and he gets attacked by something.
Right.
And then it's like commercial break, and then it cuts back, and then suddenly he's like running back into the cabin, and he's like calling the like person, be like, Mayday,
all I cared
Mayday.
all I cared about was the dog. I was like, as long as the dog is safe, like I don't care, Archie, you'll be fine. Because your abs will protect you, but like that dog, like Jesus, no, like don't. Kill
And
the
did
dog.
his abs protect him? I was like, you literally got attacked by a grizzly bear and you survived.
Yeah.
I'm like, did you watch The Revenant? Because that's the only way you could survive a grizzly bear attack.
He looked really bad though. Like he
looked
really
up.
bad, and then he took off his shirt, and I was like, oh my God, it's been like 2 episodes without you taking off your shirt, so this is not surprising.
It's like I missed it. Yeah,
I missed
but then
it.
he puts his shirt. Then he puts his shirt back on, and you're like, "Wait, come back," because he's like getting cold because he's dying. But yeah, so he's like bleeding the f out. But
I love how he goes for the first aid kit, and I'm like, "Oh, really? Like that's gonna save you?" You're like.
He like wraps his like
gashes on your like skin.
Yeah, he does like this shittiest job trying to like wrap himself up. He's like, ugh, and then he just passes out on the bed.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know. So we're assuming that like his help is coming, but he like passes out.
Yeah.
So then it cuts back to the Cooper Res, and Alice is like on crack. Like basically this whole episode, she had like it's like she's like not who she was.
She's not really there though.
Past 2 seasons.
No.
Like she's not present. Like
she's not mentally there.
No, but at the same time she's still there, and she still like makes remarks, but like it's almost like her eyes are completely like out of her body.
Yeah, for sure.
So she's like, hey Betty. She's like, oh, these people, oh, that's so annoying. They gotta leave. Like she's not like the same Alice Cooper that we like grew to know and love, which is kind of shitty. I think
that's the point though. Yeah, like it's part of the character that she has this season with the farm. So like I get that it's that connection, but yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, so she's like, they need to leave. Betty's like, no, we're gonna figure this out. But she's like, oh, let's take them to the farm. And she's like, no, they're like my kids now. Basically, they're like impressed on me, and they want to like hang out with me or whatever.
They imprinted on me, which was like a weird Twilight reference, and I was like, ew.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like just like an animal reference.
Okay.
But, yeah. So anyway, she needs to figure it out because I'm like, there's literally like 75 kids living in your living room. So I don't know what you're going to do. So then it cuts to Betty and Sierra, and I didn't really catch the connection here, but I guess Betty's trying to build a case against Hiram. Is that right?
Right. And I think she's trying to use the nuns.
Right. To testify.
To be like, yeah, he forced us to do like illegal like drug testing or whatever.
Right. But Sierra's like giving her like the bad news bears. She's like, well, the Sisters of Quiet Mercy are taking an oath of like silence because of their religion, and also like no one's gonna believe you because like you were basically on drugs the entire time you were there.
Right.
So anyway, so that's like the beginning of her storyline, and then it cuts back to the Bon Nuit, and it's Hiram, and he's got like this like next level like Jon Snow
his
like
coat,
fucking
I was like, what is
on.
he wearing? It was like fur, but it was like
Yeah.
neck. It was like around his neck, kind of.
Yeah.
I was like, what, Daddy? What are you wearing?
I was like, isn't it still summertime there? Like
She was
didn't
like,
catch that.
She's like, oh, new coat, new capos. She's like, you're feeling yourself.
She totally does say that. So she does brokerage a deal with him. She says, okay, fine. In turn of like protecting me and like not attacking me all the time, I'll give you, I think he says she's like 10% or 5% or something.
Yeah.
First I think she says 5%, then he like bumps it up to 10%. Yeah. And then the question that I had is like, why is he hustling his teenage daughter for money?
I just can't question it anymore. I just can't.
I don't understand like what their whole situation is. Like, I guess like the only thing logically that I can think of is like Hiram is just trying to, like get her to grow up and test her at any moment possible and try to like teach her about business, but like be like her adversary at the same time. I just wish
this storyline with Veronica happened in like season 6. Like they're graduated high school. She didn't go to university, so she opened up a cool speakeasy bar in the town. Like I just wish it fit the timeline better.
Listen,
she's freaking in high school, man. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Times are tough for television. Like we don't know how long this show's gonna last, so they're like, accelerate the storyline.
But like it doesn't work.
No, it's very, very like jarring to see him try to attack his own like teenage daughter.
The only person this is benefiting, let's be real, is Josie, because this girl Ash Murray is like getting so many scenes this season. Like she's in it basically like a regular cast member.
But let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a second. Literally, while they're brokeraging like an illegal deal, in the background, fucking Josie is like belting.
I'm like, girl, you gonna practice? Like, go home and practice. Like, they're doing like transaction.
I was like, this is so random. But then they finally like catch wind that she's there, and Hiram's like, ooh, she's sounding good right about now. And I'm like, this is weird. Yeah. Why are you commenting on how Josie's singing? Yeah. But I guess it all is connected later.
Yeah, he looks at her for 45 seconds, and I'm like, Hiram, what's going
on? Reel it in. So then it cuts to the serpents, and Jughead's like having a full meeting, and I think the gist of it was basically him saying like, I know we're poor or whatever, but like I want to make sure
guys, I've been away for a long time, clearly, because you guys can't do shit all without me.
You guys are useless.
Yeah. He's like, I need to come back now, and like no more crime's gonna be tolerated. Everyone needs to like, be back to themselves, whatever.
Like sit the fuck down.
Cheryl's face was like,
She's like, get out of here. Yeah, she was like over it. But he's basically like, don't sell drugs, don't steal anything. And he was like, any of these offenses are punishable by like immediate exile.
So basically, I'm like, oh, okay, someone's gonna get exiled.
So as soon as they like set you up, like it's gonna happen. Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Josie gets home and clearly she gets attacked. So like literally everything just keeps happening perfectly. So yeah, she's getting home, and as she's getting home, there's like a gargoyle just like chilling at her door. And she like opens her door and like gets in. But I was like, if he wanted to attack her, he could have just attacked her instead of like waiting at her door. So it was all just to scare the shit out of her.
It was just to scare her, yeah.
Yeah. So then it cuts back to I don't remember. Is this the part where she tells like Veronica like what went down?
Yeah.
And
so she basically,
like,
so she storms, I think, back to Veronica. And she's like, this is because of your daddy. He's doing all these things to us. Like, go figure your shit out with him or else, like, I'm going to quit. And I'm like, what? You're going to quit? Girl, you have never had this much screen time in your entire career. Like, you're going to quit? For real? You're not going to walk off that stage. Like, I did not believe her for a second.
Veronica was like, okay, walk. She's like,
yeah,
no.
she should have called her bluff. She didn't. She was like, okay, don't worry, Josie. Like, I'll fix it.
Well, she literally called her bluff because at the very end, she ends up being on the stage herself.
Yeah,
so
I was like, wait, what happened?
She literally could give a shit.
Yeah.
So she was like, so she does have to figure something out. Veronica's like, okay, fine. But I feel like this is so familiar to like what happened last season with like Sierra. It's almost like the freaking like that family always gets like crapped on by the lodges, like at all given times, or like always caught in the crossfire. Like the same thing happened with Sierra and like her being the mayor,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just like, I don't know. I just feel bad for like the McCoys at this point. So then it cuts to the Cooper residence and like Polly got a new haircut and everything.
Oh my God.
She's
I was like Polly with the new hair. I'm like, yeah, okay.
So she comes in with like that girl, Ethylene or whatever the hell.
Evelyn, yeah.
Evelyn.
Ethylene? What is she, like an oil?
No, that's Princess Ethylene from like Princess Ethel.
Oh yeah.
So they're both there and they're like, okay, we're going to take all the kids to the farm. And Betty basically says, no, what are you doing? Get out of here. And they just kind of have this like back and forth tiff. But what comes out is Polly's like, what about these drugs that are in this household? And they were sold by Fangs Fogarty. Mm-hmm. So then you find out that Fangs was the one that was selling the drugs.
Right.
But beyond that, like Polly doesn't take them in that moment. She just like tells, like she drops the bomb. And
yeah,
then
what
like,
happens at the end
house.
of that scene? Like
literally
it feels
nothing.
So weird, man.
So some of this is so disjointed, and I'm like, I'm gonna remember this, Riverdale writers. Like you just don't know how to write a fucking scene.
Yeah.
Scene out. So then it cuts back to the Jughead's trailer, and Fangs is like crying.
Yeah, he's like bawling.
He's like, I'm so sorry. Yeah, like
he's like, yeah.
What was his excuse? What was his excuse for
his excuse
doing?
His excuse was his mom is really sick and she needed medicine. But I was like, the actor doesn't even believe it because he didn't care. He was like, whatever.
Yeah.
He was like barely crying. And he's like, yeah, it's just like really been really hard. It's been a really hard week or whatever. And Jughead's like, okay, listen, I'm not going to exile you right now. But
like, just don't tell anyone.
Anybody.
Let's just keep it on the low and we're good.
So then, as of course, based on our current like rules of the law, like it's gonna come out at some point.
Of course, like he said, he was like, make sure it doesn't get out to anyone.
Because if
wait
it
20
does,
minutes and it will.
Yeah, it will. So then it cuts back to CHONI doing her like Catwoman impression again, and she's now stealing from the lodge residence, which we learn later when she like pans up to the photo frame.
Yes, exactly.
But
so I was a little confused as to like how they even broke in because the Pembroke is like almost like a high rise.
Yeah.
So like,
I'm like, did you like
just,
scale a wall?
Yeah, like she walked into the window. So I was like, wait, what? Like it's not on the ground floor.
She literally scaled a wall to get in. I have no idea.
Why
it's
don't
so
they
whack.
show these things? We're not stupid.
Like,
we ask these questions.
I'm totally into seeing that too. Like the effort it took to get this egg. Like, don't show it if it's not that impossible. So anyway, whatever. She steals this Fabergé egg, but it's not called a Fabergé egg in the Riverdale world. It's called a Glamourgé egg. So I don't know if you noticed
Glamourgé.
But I guess Fabergé is like copywritten.
Oh, maybe,
So anyway, they steal it and she kisses the painting of Hiram,
right?
To be like, she's like, I'm feeling really sassy today. So she like kisses it for whatever reason. And then she leaves.
Yeah.
So then it cuts to Archie's cabin and he's having like a full out fever dream. And we realize this because he's talking to dead people.
Right.
So
yeah, he's talking to everyone except for Jason Blossom, basically.
Right.
Who's been dead.
Because why would you give him any lines at this point in time? So
Exactly.
so he's talking to the kids, including the guy that he killed, Casey.
I love how he was
hell.
like, guys, I'm dreaming. And they're like, no, you're not, Archie. He's like, guys, I'm dreaming, right? Like, he was like, he's so stupid that he doesn't even know what he's dreaming.
He doesn't even know when he's having a fever dream.
He's like, no, I know I'm dreaming, guys. Come on.
And he's like, well, if you're dreaming, then are you dead or not? Like, it was just so random. So yeah, that's the thing. Like, I was into it, but at the same time, I was like, okay, you guys are taking this like questioning part too far. So they want to play G&G with him, but I was like, did he even play it one time? How would he even know?
That's the
what
only.
it
So
is?
I did like how this all went down, but I didn't understand how the board game was even there with him.
Right.
And B, who's playing the game with him? Like, I get it if he's in a fever dream, that's different. But he's clearly playing the game, no?
No, he's definitely having a fever dream.
So he's playing it in his dream.
Yes, 100% he's having a
Okay.
fever dream. But like the thing that really confused me was the fact that like, how would he even know how to play it? He never even saw anybody play it. He was literally in jail for like half the season.
Yeah, that's true.
And then he was running away. So like, he never even saw it being played. So how does he even know that that's a situation?
Right.
Anyways, I was like, okay, I'm going to run with it.
Yeah, that's true.
So then it cuts to the Cooper residence, and the social worker's there, and she's like, listen, Linda, like, this place is crazy. You got to figure this out. And
She
Betty's
was like, listen, I'm a social worker. I was like, okay, it doesn't take you to be a social worker to understand this town is fucked up. Like, everyone knows that this town is fucked.
100%. So she basically says, she's like, the Sisters of Quiet Mercy are crazy. And like, I'll tell you the tea, but you'll learn about it after the jump, because like, I'm pretty insignificant in this storyline. So then it cuts to the lodge residence, and Veronica's basically like off her like, she's like off, she's going off, and she's like, what did you do to Josie? Where were people showing up? You said that you were going to give me protection. And Hiram already has like an answer ready, and he's like, listen, you lied to me because you were supposed to give me the money that you owed me, but instead you like tried to cook the books and lies.com.
Yeah.
So
And he goes,
he's like, that's your
and
punishment.
by the way, your mommy's egg is missing. So
Right,
you
your
better
mommy's
get it
egg.
back. Yeah.
Get my eggie back.
Yeah.
The glamour J egg is missing. So she's like, why is that my responsibility? And he was like, well, it's one of your serpent friends, and like, clearly it's Cheryl, because like, she kissed my freaking portrait, so it's her fault. And she was like, okay, well, you got to figure this out. And this part I was kind of down for, because it almost felt like, because she says, she was like, why is that my responsibility? But he puts all the blame on her because like, he's like, you have more to lose than I do. So in that particular sense, like, I'm kind of into like the honesty of like the way this is all playing out. But at the same time, I like, because I was kind of like not into like him like hiding behind all these people. Now he's being a little bit more honest with like things going down and the reason why they're going down.
Right.
So I was kind of into seeing him like just be a mobster and say like, you need to get me my money back,
that's
bitch.
true.
You know?
Yeah.
So then it cuts to Jughead and Veronica's basically like, yo, like, you better get that Glamour J egg back. I'm pretty pissed off right now. And Jughead comes up with this plan to be like, why don't you pay the serpents money and we'll protect you
For protection, yeah.
instead of like asking your dad for protection.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, we'll get that egg back first. So he's like, got it, I'll do it. So then it cuts back to the fever dream, and this was a pretty cool scene. So he's talking to the warden.
The warden, yeah.
And the warden's like, you got to do this like one thing or whatever. And so he goes through the door, and he's back at Pop's diner, and it's when Fred is like holding, like being held up
with the
and
black hood. So
with the black hood.
What was really amazing about this scene too was it kind of it said, it was like, what's your defining moment, or like, what's that one moment that like kind of
like
shit hit the fan, or like you changed. Yeah. And I too was like, yeah, it probably was that moment in the diner, because he felt like he failed, you know, and like it stuck with him. And so just seeing the fact that like, you know, his journey in this episode is going through all these moments that sort of shaped him or made him do really shitty things. I was like, okay, this makes sense. Like,
Yeah, I was definitely down for it as soon as it started to show the flashbacks, because before that I was kind of like, why are they doing this fever dream? But why was he in a cabin? But as soon as it was like being played out, I was like, I'm totally into this, because I really like the way that it was like flashing back to all these moments. So yeah, so then it shows the Black Hood, but this time instead of like kneeling down, like he told him to kneel down, he wrestles him. He like attacks him.
Yeah.
But then when he comes back to the room, the warden's like, well, you didn't go back to the right moment. Like you need to keep going back.
Yeah.
So then he was like, what the fuck? So then it cuts back to the Sisters of Quiet Mercy, and it's Betty, and I guess Sierra too. She's just like tagging along everywhere, and she's like, okay, listen, we know that you guys are like faking your religion, because that's what this social worker told them, and if you do try to testify and say that you can't because of your religion, we'll like call you out for like being fake. And so then like, I don't know, so then she was like, all you need to do is testify against Hiram, or else like you're all going down. And so then the Sisters of Quiet Mercy are like, okay, fine, whatever, we'll do it. So then it cuts to Jughead, and he talks to like his entire crew, and he's like, listen guys, I've got some good news. We're going to become the new security detail for Veronica and like the Bon Nuit. And Jughead's like,
I hated Cheryl's attitude in this scene. Like,
100%.
I get that she's like sassy and like whatever. I just hate her attitude, because I didn't understand where it was coming from. Like, why are you so against, like, because she said, you left, and we sort of had to pick up the pieces. I get that, but like, why are you still giving him shade right now? Like, just chill.
Exactly. And like there's something that has to do with like respect, and he says it. He was like, it was very like Game of Thrones, but it was like, you have to like be honoring like your word, and like you should be more respectful. Like, she definitely has like this attitude about her in this, especially in this episode, where it was like very much like, I don't give a fuck about anybody else except for like me and Tony.
Right. And he says something really interesting, because she says like, why do we even need money or whatever, like from Veronica, and he's like, no, we need money because not all of us live like in a freaking mansion. Like, yeah, it's so easy for you to say that. And I was like, holy, like you can definitely see the differences there for sure. Like,
for sure. I'm glad that they threw that line in there, because also like, I think a lot of people have been talking about how, you know, like Cheryl's coming from so much privilege, and these gangs were made for people who are like poor and can't like get through their lives. So like, it doesn't make sense for her, the reason why she's there in the first place, unless she's footing the bill, like unless she's like feeding these people and like giving them money, which
like,
clearly she's not doing.
Why isn't she? They should move into her house.
Exactly. They should all just move there. So he's basically like, winter is coming, and like we don't have a house and you do.
Exactly.
So anyway, so he says that stealing is like no longer allowed, and you guys stole from Veronica. So not only do you guys have to return the egg, but like you have to hand over your jackets. Yeah. And like, Tony's like on the verge of tears. She's like, I'm like,
she's like I love this jacket. It's the only thing I wear. I can't afford another one.
She's like, I don't know what I look like without a leather jacket. And like, Cheryl's like, I've had this for 2 episodes, but like, I still really like
she's
it.
Like, I'm not giving my jacket away.
Yeah. So they were just being really bitchy.
Poor
and
Fangs.
then
He looked so sad.
I know. So they clap back, and they're like, well, if you're gonna kick us out, then you have to kick Fangs out. And then like, she like totally spills the tea on Fangs, saying that like he told Sweet Pea, and Sweet Pea told them, and like now that he's back in the gang. So then Jughead was basically like, well, I guess you gotta go.
Yeah.
So then
Jughead
he kicks
was
Fangs
like,
out.
yeah, he kicks Fangs out. He was like, bro, like I gotta kick you out too. Fangs is like, you're the worst leader ever. I'm like, but he's not. You're the one who started selling drugs. He told you, just don't tell anyone, and I'll let you like stay in. And you still went and told everyone. Like, you're an idiot.
Literally told like, everybody. Like, come on.
He's like, you suck. Like, and then he like stormed away. I was like, no, he doesn't suck.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you thought it was fair or not, but yeah, I totally thought it was
fair. Yeah,
totally warranted. So then he kicks out Cheryl and Tony at the same time, and she was like, "Fuck it, I'm keeping my jacket," and Tony's like, "Go fuck yourself, whatever." But then, he also says like, on top of that, you have to take you have to give me the egg back, like give me that damn egg back. And she was like, "Ugh, fine, whatever." So then it shows like Jughead, and he gives the egg back to Veronica, and she says something in Spanish, but like I just can't pay attention to that anymore.
She was like, yeah, I couldn't pick it up. I was like, I gotta go back and listen.
I like blacked out for a second because I'm like over the like the half Spanglish moments. Yeah. Because like I'm just over it. So anyway, so she's like, "Thank you, mija," or whatever. So she takes the egg, and then she says that like. I don't know exactly what she says, but she says basically like, I don't know, I have something up my sleeve for my dad.
Like your first job is like coming up, so like get ready.
Right. And then something happens at the Cooper residence.
Tyler starts sketching out that the king is gonna like come and get him. So this sort of I think starts panic in the other people. And like the other foster children is what I call them in my notes.
The foster children.
And so they start freaking out and they're like, Betty, you can't save us. Like, what are you going to do?
Right.
And then I think it sort of like gives her like anxiety to be like, shit, like I got to do something right now about these.
Anxiety part 75.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And like she can't answer them. Like she can't say anything in that moment.
Yeah, because she's like, true. Like, I'm basically
she's like, I'm not a mom. I'm not a queen. I'm not ready for this.
I'm not ready for this responsibility. So then it cuts to Archie again.
The Red Paladin.
And the Red Paladin needs to kill somebody. So then he picks up a card, and it says, he's like, read out the card. The warden's
so funny
read out the
because
card.
It's so funny that you mentioned like he's never played the game before, because he picks up 2 cards and he's like, what are these cards? And like it clearly says like what it is like on the card. I'm like, Archie, you haven't played this game before.
Like, clearly your fever dream is like smarter than you are. So so he picks up the card, and the warden's like, read the card, and he's like, oh, it says kill the Gargoyle King. And then he's like, no, read it again. And I'm like, wow, you don't even know how to read anymore, Archie.
Well, it was cool, right? Because it said the Gargoyle King first.
It did switch.
And then it switched to the Man in Black. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But does this mean that Hiram is the king? Like, guys, come on.
And it was so funny because like hearing the warden say slay, like I couldn't even take him seriously.
Did he say slay?
Yeah, he was like, first of all, his lips are like blue AF, and then on top of that, he's like, slay. And I'm like, I can't with you right now. So then it cuts to Archie, and he goes like through the door. I love that whole like idea of him like leaving the room and going into like a next situation.
Totally.
So he opens up the door, and this is like the flashback that everybody thought was a flashback, but it's really like kind of just like a moment in time.
This is the moment where he's replaying it in his head, and how it plays out in the real world is that he doesn't kill Hiram in this moment, right? Like they have that big talk.
Yeah, because that was the end of season 2, like the season finale of season 2, where he had the knife in his hand and he was like, I hate you. But it's kind of hilarious what he says in this moment.
Totally.
Because Hiram totally says it. He's like, what did you think I was gonna do? Like, you literally told me your entire plan that you were gonna send me to jail. Like, obviously
Hiram is literally like the voice of us. Being like, you're so stupid. You told me your entire plan, and so I just went and like did a better plan. Like,
so true.
I was like, I love this. Okay, this is cool.
Yeah, I was totally into it. But instead of like not killing him, because he's like, oh, you're not gonna kill me, you LOL. Like, he
does kill him.
He does kill him, but like in a shadow, because it's the CW and we're not allowed
and they
to see
can't show that. Yeah.
So he comes back and he's like so happy. He has like the knife in his hand. But now instead of the warden, it's the 3 of them. It's Betty, Jughead, and Veronica, and they're sitting down and they're like, let's play.
And they all look creepy.
They all look creepy, but it's cool because it's all from the first episode. So she's wearing her pink dress from the first episode.
Oh my God, I didn't realize that. Yeah. Veronica's wearing like that cape thing.
Yeah. And like Jughead's just wearing like regular Jughead clothes.
That's so cute. I didn't realize.
Yeah. So he's like remembering them in that moment, and like it's cute because like Betty was like, play the guitar, and he's like, I haven't played the guitar in like 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, what are you talking about? Yeah. And she basically says like, you need to do all these things, like you need to play one more game with us in order to come back to like innocence. So like get your innocence
which
back.
Totally makes sense. Like
so then he goes back out one more time.
I didn't realize that like Eldervale was like a mix of letters of Riverdale. I was like, oh,
of Riverdale.
True.
I think they mention it like earlier on, like
I
when
think so.
Jughead's like going crazy or whatever. He's like, it's Riverdale.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then before we move to like that final moment, it cuts to the lodge residence, and Hiram is like just drinking his whiskey. He just got back home from like being such a good drug dealer or whatever, and he looks at his desk, and the egg is completely like shattered AF.
Yeah.
So
up.
One thing that we should probably just mention really quickly before we get into anything else is we did a interview with Kelly freaking Ripa. Surprise. We got to talk to her actually just today, before this episode dropped. So we didn't get a chance to talk to her too much about her role and you know, kind of what goes down with her role. But
well, her episode hasn't aired yet, so we couldn't really get into specifics of like what's gonna happen with her.
But we did talk about the promo, and if you check out our Instagram at recap_rewind, we threw up a clip where we were talking to her about this Fabergé egg and the fact that this egg is like so important, or it seems pretty pivotal to her storyline. But it looks like in this part of the episode, the egg is completely smashed on Hiram's desk, and it says like game over, like no deal, whatever. So we're assuming that that's from Veronica, right?
Yeah.
But based on the promo, there is another egg that Jughead is holding in his hand while Kelly / Mrs. Mulray is holding a gun to him. So
what does that all mean, though?
What does that all? Yeah, what does that all mean?
I don't know.
Is he replacing the egg? Is he stealing another egg?
Why are there so many eggs? Like, what's going on? And like, I love that it's like Hermione's favorite like gift. It's not even Hiram's. Like.
And on top of that, like, where has Hermione been this whole time?
Where is
like,
Hermione?
She's gone. She's like on vacation. So anyway, so the egg is completely cracked, but my assumption is that it's gonna come back. It's gonna resurrect itself because
or like another one.
That's gonna show up.
Yeah.
I don't know, or maybe it was like a bait and switch. Like we'll see if that was like even the real egg. So then it cuts to Betty. And she has a really cute moment, but like it doesn't go anywhere because later on like nothing happens. But she goes to Sierra, she goes to Fred, she goes to Cheryl, and she goes to Nana Blossom.
So cute.
And she's like, listen, guys, these guys are like homeless. Could you guys take some of them in for like temporarily until we figure things out? And like Nana was so cute. She like had her like first like proper line ever. She was like, oh my god, I like help these guys from time. I'm so happy to do this. Even Fred was like down for it. Sierra's so like cute. I got like one pull-up mattress, like we're good.
She's like, I got one cot.
Like yeah. And then Cheryl's basically like, I've got an entire house, so like that's cool.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why you didn't ask Cheryl from the get-go.
Just Cheryl, not even Fred. Like poor Fred.
Help you out. Like Fred literally is like depressed because his son is missing. Seriously. Like he's like, since Archie's
and his dog
gone now?
And his dog is missing. Is gone.
Yeah,
too.
He's like, I guess I'll take in like one boy. Does he have red hair? Like he just got so sad. I was like, don't ask Fred Andrews for anything right now. He's depressed. So then it cuts to Jughead at the trailer again. And this was kind of a random moment too, because FP basically admits that he misses being the Serpent King. He's like,
so random.
Yeah, because he starts to give
he's
like Jughead
I hate
some
sitting
advice
on the sidelines. I was like, what? Like
he's like, put me in, bro. Put me in.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I was like, where did this come from? Like, this is so weird.
And on top of that, nothing really comes of it this episode either.
Do you
like,
think they're gonna fight? Like they're gonna like have some like drama?
If they fight, like why though? Like I don't really know.
Maybe then the mom will like come in and like be like, guys, stop fighting.
Oh, maybe, yeah, because I know that she does show back up in this episode,
yeah,
or this season. So yeah, maybe. I just feel like it's kind of like random for him to like give it up and then literally like 2 minutes later be like, no, I don't want to do this.
It's just not a good look for FP. Like I don't know, it didn't suit his character at all.
For him to flip back and be like a Serpent King again, it's just like, why did you give it to him in the first place?
Yeah.
Like, did you think that it was a bad idea or a good idea to give it to a teenage boy? Like, come on. Like, get your shit together. So then it cuts to Reggie once again getting stopped in the middle of the woods.
Yes. Okay, so this one I really thought he was going to... Because it was the end of the episode too. So I'm like, oh my God, he's dead. He's dead.
Yeah, when I saw it again, he's like, we can't keep meeting like this. I'm like, oh God, he's like literally going to get shot.
Yeah.
So then he, like the gargoyle guy goes to the back and he's like, throw everything out, like burn it all, and the serpents like all pop out like a freaking clown car, and they're like all jumping out and they're like attacking everybody.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I didn't understand is like they stop one of the Gargoyle King kids, whatever, and they pull him up and they're like, listen, tell your
take his mask off first. How about
take his
that?
mask off. He's probably like one of your classmates, for God's sake. They're all like the
Seriously.
same age. Like I didn't understand
So
that part.
stupid.
So like that part I got really frustrated by, because I'm like, yeah, all you need to do is like literally take off the mask,
Yeah.
and also like maybe even just like interrogate a little bit more. Like, are you guys really assuming that like Hiram is the Gargoyle King? Like that's what I mean. Like in these moments, I was like, oh, so we are really supposed to believe that like Hiram is the Gargoyle King?
I guess, yeah. I
Like,
don't know.
right? I don't
know.
So anyway, so then he like lets him run away or whatever. He's like, this is the warning. And then it cuts to the Cooper residence, and Betty's like super happy because she's like, oh, I got everybody to like find a place for them. And then Alice is just like chilling, and she's like, hey,
She's like,
And-
just made some tea
Yeah.
in the kitchen. And Betty's like, Mom, like, where is everyone?
where are all the children? Where are my babies? So she's like, oh, like Edgar literally just took them all. Like you missed him by like 5 minutes. And I'm like, okay, guys, it's episode freaking 9. Do I have to wait until episode 17 to
see
meet the
this
fucking
Edgar? Seriously.
Edgar? Like I'm kind of over.
Yeah.
Like I keep forgetting that there is this next storyline, like that the farm is involved in this whole situation. So it makes me wonder, A, is Edgar the freaking Gargoyle King, or B, like is this storyline ever gonna connect?
I feel
And
like
if
at
it does,
some
it better
point
make
it's
sense.
gonna connect, and I feel like he might be a part of it, because the fact that we haven't met him yet is kind of like, I'm like, but why though?
I guess it's a bit of a miss on our part. We just posted a video on.
But that's the thing,
who
we don't
is
even know
Gargoyle
what he
King.
looks like. We don't know anything
Yeah.
about him other than the
Like-
fact that he owns the farm. Like, can we see him
mystery.
more? And then I'll put him on my
Yeah.
suspect list, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Because that's the thing. If he does end up becoming the Gargoyle King, I'm going to be like, okay, well, you were so like ominous this whole time in the first place. So like, I
Yeah.
don't really care.
Yeah.
But I guess it'll make sense if you really think about it. If Edgar is the Gargoyle King, then like Alice is gonna feel even worse. She's gonna be like, oh my god, I keep like dating like killers.
Yeah, she should feel that though.
And then she'll like come back to like reality and become like a normal person again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But also, like, why isn't she having sex with FP anymore? I don't understand where
There's
that
just no
storyline
time.
went.
Like, there's no time for that at all.
There's no time to have sex. Like, come on.
I mean, look how many things happened this episode.
yeah, but I care more about the kids' story, like the adult storylines. I'm just cheesed. So anyway, it cuts back to Archie in his final like fever dream, and this is like probably one of the best scenes in the entire
It was
episode.
really, really emotional.
Yeah, so he opens a door and it's his actual room, and he sees himself sleeping in the bed, and he has a bat in his hand. He's about to kill himself essentially, and Fred is like sitting in the corner, and he's like, you don't need to do this, like
He's like, you're not
you'll
the
be
villain
okay.
that you think you are. He's like, you can still come home from this. Like, you can forgive the guy. Like, just don't, like, just come home.
Yeah,
And
But-
this was an interesting take on what Archie says, just because we haven't heard him say anything like this, where
Right.
he sort of like, he's like, I'm so stupid and I'm so weak. Like, everything
Yeah.
I did in basically season 2 leading up to now, he's like, it made
Yeah.
me get to this point. And
Yeah.
he's like, I hate that person that did this.
Right. So he's like, I need to kill this person. I need
Like,
to
it was
kill,
really
'cause it's
like,
all
I
his
was like,
fault.
holy shit. Like, it's a big theme to like really dive into at this point, you know?
I feel like it's a major. I feel like he's definitely he took a lot on like this past season. Like he put a lot of blame on himself.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And how many times did we hate on him throughout like the episodes? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we for sure we get it, but just to see him say it, to hear him say it, it
Yeah.
was like really emotional.
Like literally, as he's dying, the last thing he's thinking about is how like guilty he feels
Yeah.
about his own like situation.
Of his own
so I felt
choices
felt-
and
yeah, I felt pretty bad about that. But so anyway, he beats this like the bed, but then the body is like no longer there. So I don't know if that was like a CW thing or if it was like just symbolic that like
He's
no
gone.
longer that good boy.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
yeah.
So anyway, so then that's over. Then it cuts back to like the final major sequence, which is all wrapped up by Veronica's singing
because she's now replaced Josie. So
she's replaced Josie as she does like all the time.
Yeah.
Like this is like Josie and the Pussycats all over again. So she's singing Maybe Next Time, and I really like that song actually. Or is it called Maybe This Time? I don't remember.
I liked it. I really liked it.
Yeah, she did like a really different rendition of it. So it was really interesting to listen to. And so as she's singing on the stage, there's like this slow motion shot of Reggie coming into the bar and he sees her from afar. NB, can you give us like a play-by-play of how you felt throughout this entire part?
It was just like, I get it, Varchie, I get it, but that was a hot AF kiss. Like, whatever you tell me. Come on,
guys. You
like,
cannot deny.
It's his look. I think more of it's the way he looks at her. Like, he's like hungry 100%. For her. But also, like, thirsty. He was very much like shocked that he was feeling these things, because at the same time, like, he's still boys with Archie. Like, he knows that this is like his best friend's like girlfriend. So like, I feel like that was his conflict. But in this moment, he sees her and then she sees him, right? Like she comes up to him. And then because like at this point, like the entire like bar is closed. Yeah. And like finally Josie's not there in the background like practicing. But they had a really hot kiss. Like, I loved it. I'm really down for them. Like, I don't want Archie to, like, if he comes back, I don't want him to like mix that up, you know?
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting struggle. But
what did you think of it? Did you like it?
I loved it. Like, I really like them together. They look really good together. They obviously have instant chemistry with each other. And I know we've talked about this in the past, but I really like personally never saw like KJ and Cammy have as much chemistry as these two had in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's funny because like I've heard you say that, and I never really minded KJ and Cammy, but you said that, and then I saw this scene and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I see the difference for sure.
There's a huge difference. I mean, she's like
having said that, they're like freaking fucking in real life, so like you can't even compare the two. But like, yeah, for sure, there's a big difference.
But, I mean, some people do it like, and it's a very good, very compelling like way they do it. But no, like she can't lie. Like there's definitely like a really instant chemistry between the two of them. And I totally support this relationship because, you know, like in the comic books, we know Reggie to be like such a shit disturber. He's such a troublemaker. He's kind of a douchebag. He's a bit of an idiot. But this version of Riverdale, or sorry, the Riverdale version of Reggie is fantastic. And I think that he's really come to grow into like a really cool character.
Yeah. And like I've said this before, he's not the same Reggie that he was in season 2, season 1. Like he changed in this role as her like partner. He's like this really sexy, really quiet, like, you know, like these really like long stares. I'm like, damn, like he seems kind of more mysterious. Whereas like in season 2 and season 1, he was like this like really obnoxious, loud, annoying like jokester. Right. But he totally shifted, and that just made him even more sexier. And like it just works now. And so for sure. So clearly we're down for veggies and dip.
Totally into veggies and dip. Like I'm very, very much shipping on that. So as that's happening, they're making out. It cuts to Jughead, and he's like in the woods with Fangs and Sweet Pea, and he's basically like, "Yo, I was lying, low key to everybody. So can you do like a next level
like
secret
undercover
mission?
Secret mission to like infiltrate Hiram's like freaking crime operation?"
Like, okay, fine, whatever. I'm so over it, but like, cool. So Fangs is like still on the pay. He's like,
anything for you, bro. I love you.
He's like, I love you, bro. So then it cuts to Sierra, and she calls Betty, and Betty's like, oh yes, we're like getting our case together, whatever. And Sierra's like, no, actually, like an anonymous donor let all of the sisters out of jail,
of course,
but they left a message that says, we go to join thee, like basically in blood. Like I don't know how the hell that happened, but Betty like clues in right away, and she's like, oh shit, I'm gonna like run, so because she knows where they're gonna go. And she ends up going back to the Sisters of Quiet Mercy like building, and she goes to that like locked up room, and she sees all of the freaking nuns, and they're all dead on the floor. And like the Gargoyle King like statue, because as you remember last episode, like she broke the head off of the statue and like threw it on the floor, and she was like, the Gargoyle King is dead now.
Yeah.
But now the Gargoyle King like head is replaced by like a skull, like it's like an actual like animal skull. So she's like, oh shit, whatever. And then the final scene that I wanted to talk about, which is, I think like Twitter is still blowing up because of it, is Archie is like,
it cuts back to Archie as you know, as we hear Veronica singing, and you just have like immediate chills. And I guess like the park services, or like
the warden,
or like people come in, right? Like they burst into the cabin, and they get to Archie and they shake him, and he's like lying there with his eyes like, open, dead. And like even like the paramedic looks at like the other paramedic, and she's like, no, like he's not responding. So like I don't know. Like obviously like he's not dead. I mean, he can't be dead. He's the freaking main character. But
yeah, it would be so stupid if he died.
Can someone be in a coma with their eyes open? Like, how does that make sense? Like, I don't know if that's even possible.
I don't think it's possible either.
But then that means he's dead.
I really, guys, I don't know. Like you said, I don't think he's dead, but it was a very like shocking moment. I was very much like,
but how do you come back from this? That's serious. My question to you and to our listeners. Like, how do you come back from this kid lying dead in his bed? If his eyes were closed, different story. Because then it would be like, okay, he's in a coma, like he's fine, don't worry. But his eyes were open. It's very much like he looks dead.
I don't fucking know. I have no idea like what it all means, but I'm assuming that it's all going to be resolved, or maybe we're not going to see him for like a couple episodes.
I'm thinking
like,
that might happen. Yeah,
we're probably going to be left in a bit of suspense for a bit to see,
because like he might go to the hospital there, and like no one's going to know who he is.
True.
You know,
that's a good point. Yeah, good point. So we'll see how that all kind of plays out, but that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Freaking crazy. It was a good one for like coming back from a break.
Yeah, it was a good one.
All right, let's get into our recap roundups.
Recap roundups.
Best moment. My best moment has to go to Veggie. Veggies and dip. I mean, that kiss at the end, that was just amazing.
Brilliant. It was very good. Yeah, that was one of my best moments as well. But if you're gonna take that one, then I'm gonna take that last scene of Archie in the in his room, and him like beating himself up and whatever, because I thought that was a pretty powerful kind of like way to end off his fever dream.
WTF moment.
What was your WTF moment?
My WTF moment has to go to Archie being dead, because clearly like so shook. I don't even know, like, how am I gonna sleep tonight? Like, I don't understand.
It's gonna be crazy. My WTF moment has to go to the grizzly bear attack, because I was very much like,
the Revenant.
how did you get how did you get attacked by a grizzly bear and survive that? I have no idea. And how did this grizzly bear like literally like launch at him out of nowhere? It was kind of random for him to get to where he needed to go, but
I wonder if like all of this was a dream. Like even the whole grizzly bear moment was like a dream.
Like he's not even in a cabin.
Yeah, like he's like in another city in Canada. Like he's in Toronto or something. Like
he's still in he's still in the jail cell.
Yeah, like, imagine. Oh my god.
Oh god.
MVP.
Who's your MVP?
My MVP, I'm gonna have to give it to Archie. I think just, you know, hearing those words that he said at the end, just like being so angry at himself and like that he's done so much, I had to give it to him. I'm like, no boy, like we like you still, come back.
And that's a huge thing for us to do, give Archie an MVP.
I don't think he's ever
like
been
on
my
Recap
MVP.
Rewind.
I don't think he's
Not
ever
this
made
season.
it. Yeah,
no, he's never made it, so good job, well done. My MVP is gonna go to Reggie effing Mantle, because I think he's a boss ass kid in this storyline so far.
Yes,
he's really pulling everything together, and I'm very impressed with like what they've done with his character this season so far. And he's basically like Veronica's new man, so I'm into it, totally into it.
Yeah, totally.
And he's cute. He's really cute. He definitely grew on me this episode. Like those dimples came through this episode, and I was like,
I've been on Reggie's D this entire time, and now everyone, all of you, is coming for my man and saying, yeah, no, I was Reggie from day one. Like Don't
Okay,
even.
we'll take it. All right, fine.
LVP.
Who's your LVP?
My LVP, I think, is gonna have to go to Marisol Nichols, Hermione Lodge, because girl, where the F are you? Like, this town needs you. You're the
Seriously.
mayor of the town. Like, where are you? And like Betty, like, she needs Sierra, but like, I feel like the mayor should be involved in half of these conversations, and she's like nowhere to be found.
Maybe one.
And then
At
also
least
with like
one.
the Hiram storyline, like at least like go to your husband. She's not even in those storylines, you know? She's just like MIA.
Such a weird character, like the fact that she's like completely off.
Yeah.
My LVP is gonna go to Cheryl Blossom.
Yeah.
I think that she failed me this episode
Yeah,
for sure.
I
I think
agree.
based on what you said earlier about the fact that she kind of clapped back at Jughead and was like rolling her eyes and being so pushy, I just wasn't feeling it. And I was like, I know that it's in her character to have that attitude, but you want to see these characters grow and like improve and not like revert every 5 seconds. So seeing her like pull that on Jughead in the middle of everybody, I was kind of like, shut up, Cheryl, you suck.
Yeah, for sure. The best line. My best line is from Veronica when she sees Hiram in the club with the fur coat. She's like, new coat, new capos.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah. Loved it. Mine is from Fred when he says to Archie, "You are not the villain you think you are." And I just think it's a very universal line for like a lot of people, because a lot of people like hate themselves all the time, and I think it was like a really powerful thing to say. Like, you know, sometimes you're that hard. That
Yeah,
much
like
harder on
don't be so
yourself
hard
and
on
really-
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like that line a lot. And that's the episode, guys. We had somebody who tuned in and gave us their roundups. We got our man Postmaster Radio saying that his best moment was the CHONI moment at the start of the episode. Totally into it. WTF moment, Archie's hallucinations. All right, we can buy that. MVP was Betty. LVP was Alice, which we totally forgot to mention. Yeah,
totally.
Alice, and she's going on and on about the farm. And best line when Reggie says to Veronica, "Has anyone ever told you you're a badass?" Which was also one of my favorite lines. So yeah, thanks for letting us know what you guys thought. If you guys are listening to this live, because I think we're going to be dropping it live on YouTube, make sure you guys also comment and let us know what you guys thought were your favorite roundups this episode. So let's get into our announcements real quick before we finish off the episode. First and foremost, as you know, we mentioned it a little bit earlier this episode, that Kelly freaking Ripa.
Kelly freaking Ripa.
That's it. That's all I need to say.
It. Just tease them with it. Give them a little tease.
So she came through and was generous enough to give us some of her time to sit down and talk to us about the show, her character. We played a game with her. So we're hoping to release the podcast very shortly. So make sure you guys stick around for all that content in the near future. We're really excited. It was a great conversation. We love her. If she's listening, thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you so much, Mark, for connecting us to Kelly.
Yes, for sure.
We love the Consuelos family so much. We want you guys to adopt us. And the final thing that I want to say before we close it off is we are drawing for the pillow giveaway, which is very exciting. So we are drawing the names right now.
Let's do it.
So we had a few entries that were correct. So the answer was
my MVP was Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
So shout out to everyone who got it.
And we're going to draw them right now.
Who's going to win the pillow?
The winner is Becca Sarah.
Becca Sarah has been one of our OG listeners, supporters. She's
and like super lit.
She's our Patreon supporter. So to have it go to someone, that is sort of like in our close knit fam, it's awesome.
Yeah, and make sure you guys check out more contests. But this one specifically, I want to say a major thank you to the person who made it all happen.
Yes.
He's one of our listeners, Sarge. He's the best. And you guys, if you guys haven't checked out any of his awesome work yet, do yourself a favor, please, and check them out. He's really, really talented. He has a really great Facebook page with all of his designs.
He's on Instagram. I believe
it's on Instagram.
It's what is his handle? At I am Sarge.
At I am Sarge, or you can check his Facebook page out at facebook.com/designs by Sarge. But yeah, his stuff is great. Once again, thank you so much. It really means a lot that you were willing to donate your pillow to this giveaway, this contest. And for everybody else, thanks so much for entering. We'll make sure that we keep you guys updated with some more contests to keep this channel more fun and exciting and keep you guys listening. So stay tuned. Finally, thank you to our patrons this episode. Tina Ann, Namas, Sarge is also one of our patrons. Thank you. We got a new one, Kaylee, and of course our mommy rewinder, Becca Sarah.
Hey.
Thank you for being our patrons. If you would like to join our Patreon family, check us out at patreon.com/recap_rewind. And if you join, you'll get access to all the things Recap Rewind, including exclusive contests, content, and updates. So check us out.
And you get to see our faces. So that's
and you get to see our
pretty
faces.
sweet deal.
That's the biggest, best deal you could ever ask for. And yeah, finally, make sure you guys check us out on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, Facebook. We're literally everywhere. So make sure you guys stay connected to join the conversation. Like, subscribe, follow, review, comment, tell all your friends about us just to stay engaged with Recap Rewind. And that's it from us. Thanks for listening. Bye.